Hello and welcome to another Demis Hellen tutorial. First time in 2 weeks. I apologise for last week. There's been two things. There's been a holiday. The upload that I did actually failed and I couldn't post the video. And thirdly, I've had a promotion at work and it's just taken over my entire life. So I apologise for the gap. But I'm trying to get back on track now. And what I'm trying to do is record videos ahead and make sure that you've got content, and then I'll address the other relevant things in between. So my new plan that I announced the other week is not going to happen, but I'm going to try and make it happen in a different way. So what you can hear here in this track is the melody that was at the end of the last video that I said I developed, and it didn't fit that particular track. So I've now made this progressive track, and I'm just going to show you how I used FM manipulation to create this really deep bass. So I'll just let you listen a second. Okay, so you get the idea. So obviously the bass is made in Serum here, and we're using FM modulation from the other oscillator. So this is actually the levels turned down, as you can see here. And what we're using is the, well, it's called warp, but if you look in these settings, you can choose all different things. So you can do like the bend plus and minus, very familiar from Massive and various other synths. But we've got a few extras here down at the bottom. So the FM from B, which is it's FM modulation, but using the shape of the waveform from B, and I've got it set to like 10 o'clock-ish because that's where it sounds good for this track. And I've just picked this distorted bass here, well, this distorted waveform, should we say. So if we just solo this here, put it on loop. So it sounds like it's not going to make a really good trance bass on its own, but what happens is that some of that modulation carries through the track a little bit and makes it sound a little bit more punchier when it's actually really deep. So the only things, and you've got to bear with me because it's been a couple of weeks since I've looked at Cubase, we do have remove modulation mod sources. I've got to work out how to find this again. I think I'm using, yeah, it's LFO1, so I'm using it like a side chain there, but it's just moving the FM back and forth just to give it a little bit of movement. Just a little bit. It is going through an MG low 2 at 12, sorry, and it's the A and B and the sub, and you can see -2, -2 to give it some bass. If you listen to this without the sub, it's just a bit of a gritty bass, but the sub really adds presence back in there. And that's obviously going through a sidechain, so effects wise, just a bit of compression on there. Let's listen to it without. Just to bring it under control, just ever so slightly. And that is it. We've only got the one modulation source, and there's nothing else happening. Everything is as it was. So in terms of inserts, we just have kickstart. So as you can hear, this is actually, I didn't even know this, this is unprocessed totally. There's no EQ, no compression or anything, and just listen to how it sounds with that. It sounds like it's just fitting it perfectly in place, and this is the sort of example where I would demonstrate that you edit in context. So you have the sound that you are wanting it to fit with, and you'd move this FM modulation to the place that you want it. Pick your waveforms whilst you listen to it in context, so it definitely fits and complements the rest of the sounds in the track. So two things that I think about especially is the melody and the kick drum. If you, as I always say, if you're trying to make something fit too hard, say you're spending 5 minutes or more to make it fit and it doesn't sound right, change it. Don't try to make it fit, because you're just going to waste a lot of time and you'll just run into problems later on when you add other sound and you go, that bass still doesn't fit, but I've started building my track around it. And you don't want to fall into that trap, because then it just becomes a lost project. And I've been there many times. So Serum, if you look at the kick drum, so they complement each other well. The kick drum's pitched higher and the bass sits a lot lower, which works perfectly for me. Not to say that that is the final kick, but at least I know that my kick is tuned, and when I change the settings or change the waveform, it's going to fit nicely. And the melody here, the idea here is this is such a powerful synth, which we all know is Pluckstar's Heaven. It's such a powerful synth that when you look at, I've put OTT on there, and I might have actually gone OTT on with this plugin, but it makes it even more beastly and it struggles to be calmed back down. So I've got to adjust these. Like the upwards compression on here is only ever so slight. If you listen to the difference, so the bass has to be really subby, but it's also just encroaching just past where the synth is actually rolled off on the bass. So if we look at the bass, let's just get rid of everything else there. So if we look at the synth as well, sorry. Is that Pro Q? There, so we've got a roll off of up to 74 Hertz there, so the bass is really operating around here with a bit of detail in this section, so it overlaps into where the melody is actually losing power. And as you can hear, when it's on its own, it's obviously not really bassy. And you know me, I like to use Pluckstars to make the bass line as well sometimes, but this occasion it's cut off and then the bass takes over. I'll just give you a quick demonstration of how I use it as a bass, if you guys are not too familiar, especially if you're new here. Recent Pluckstar's Heaven. Right, so massive is this one. Let's just have, I better copy it like this so we don't copy any of the settings over. Alright, so let's just control the volume on there. So you can hear how warm it is compared to the other one. It's not to say that's where it's going to stay. I'm probably going to add a little bit of warmth back in so those two blend together nicely. But how this can be used as an overall synth for everything across the board, it has multiple layers which enable you to have a really low end on there as well. So if we just put this rolling bass in, let's just put it all, it would help if we had quantization on. Right, so we have this, you can hear, I can hear the power anyway on the headphones. You need to have your headphones in. We'll just quickly mimic the bass line above. Drop this down to E, back up to F, up to A. I'll just have that one down there. I think that's going to come in. No, that'll work. We'll just have those two there as well. Down to G, down to E, and finally up to G. Okay, so then you add this bottom layer of really, really like low subby frequencies. Take that away. and it's really handy for stuff like that. So like even if you wanted to take away this bass entirely here and then double these up, you get a really low good trance bass to start with. And then as soon as you start adding in like this kickstart here, forgetting the melody, if you just use it as that rolling bass and have the melody on a separate pluck stars, you get a really good starting point. So yeah, that's how I would usually use it, and as you can see, I've changed up a little bit there, so we'll just get rid of that. And we'll remove that instrument. So there we are. Okay, so that is a look into where that melody went. In the next video, I will go back to the arpeggio build. The only reason I haven't done this video on it is because I literally haven't worked on it for a couple of weeks. As some of you may know, I've been on a drone training course, so I can fly with a license. And obviously the promotion at work has really messed my head up in the good way, but I don't want you guys to suffer because of that. So here we are with this video, just to keep the content here. Sorry I missed a week, and I will see you in the next video. There is a video releasing of my plans, which is going to change a little bit, but I'll still release it. Okay, alright, so I will see you in the next video. Thanks for sticking by, guys. Cheers.